I broke my shovel on the last dig, so I've got to go to here. What's up guys, Chris here from Vo-Gus Prospecting. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome. And if you're an old multi-fireman's hat from Lithuania, welcome back. Today I'm back in the mustard gold pit to try and open enough ground to reach the bedrock where I found a section of original ground. It might not be original, but it hasn't been touched in a long time, and I've never seen heavy blacks like this before. Now this mustard gold hole has been a long-term project of mine. It has taken some serious effort to find this original ground. We've probably pushed through about 6 to 7 cubic meters of dirt in about 18 hours worth of work spread over a few weeks. I've taken a few very experienced prospectors to this spot and they all said the same thing. There is probably going to be a concentrator in this spot. What is a concentrator? It's simply a place that the gold can't get past. It hits it, it stops, and it plays dead. Well, we found it yesterday. It's about 3 foot down and it's in that hole. Down here, this dirt is averaging about 1.5 grams per meter, but we haven't been able to take a large enough soil sample to really know what's down there. Because just last session, I pulled out a couple of beautiful little pickers, and we know that there are going to be more of them down there. So we've got a 2-day plan, and the plan is very, very simple. What we're going to do today is strip off as much of this topsoil and run it through the sluice as possible, because that's got all our mustard gold in it. And then we're going to work the concentrated layer. And the concentrated layer is a series of bits of bedrock that are broken up like this. If my fingers are the bedrock, well, it's fractured, but it's still in situ. It hasn't actually traveled downstream, and those fractures are working like mammoth crevices, collecting a ton of gold. Can you believe it's freaking winter right now? Like, are you serious? I've run sweet FA, maybe about 15 shovels, but I always like to stop and just check how we're actually going and see if you can't see any visible gold. I can actually see a little bit of gold. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make this out. He's just there. It's a tiny, tiny piece, but we're not on the pay layer. We're only going to be digging up the mustard gold at the moment, but all in all, I think this is all running quite well. What do you think, Grizz? I just wanted to show you the regular sort of gold that we're digging up here. You can see these pieces, they're very, very small. There's a lot that you can't see on camera, but there's a lot of them. So the more shovels we dig, the more gold we're getting. It's really consistent, and we're getting at least 1 gram a session for about 3 hours worth of processing time. So far we've pulled out 11.6 grams as of today from this deposit in about 7 cubic meters worth of dirt. That's almost half an ounce, or around $850 Australian for 18 hours work. Once we finish processing all this overburden today, tomorrow, once we get down into this grey sticky original bedrock, you're going to see test pans that are going to blow your mind. This is the gold we got out of about 50 shovels from just the minus moss, and the minus moss is not designed to catch this sort of gold. It's only there to slow everything down so it gets a chance to stratify before it hits the gold rat mat. I explain all of this and more in some of my other videos that I've made on this spot. All those links are in the description, so go back and watch them, and some of the questions that you have might have already been answered. Grease. What I'm trying to do is just take off all the gravel that's sitting sort of in the nooks and crannies on top of the bedrock, so that when we come back to break it up, we're only working in broken up bedrock. And I'm just touching the top of that old layer of soil. Now this is the color of that soil. It's a very dark gray. It's riddled with rock. Now I've said this time and again on my videos, if you get clay but no rock in it, it's unlikely that the gold has penetrated that far. So you've got to back off a little bit and go back to the section of clay that has rock in it. But this is the stuff, so we'll probably likely see some of the heavies that I've been finding in our next cleanup. Just as I suspected, as I've worked down deeper into that hole and getting a little bit of that black clay, we're starting to get some of those associated heavies. That is some very, very coarse black sands. I'm not 100% sure exactly what they are. They could be magnetite, they could be tin oxide, there could be a few other things as well, but all I know is that every time I hit that, I find really, really coarse gold. So tomorrow's plan is to work that. Today we're still just removing that overburden. I just cleaned out the miner's moss at the top of that run, and you can see the difference in gold. It's very coarse. The black sands are huge and chunky. When you compare them to the other pan where you got lots of fine gold and fine black sand side by side, it becomes quite apparent that we're talking about very, very different types of deposits. I'm just running the last clean out for the day. The battery's still got actually a little bit of power. I've probably only been running for about 2.5 hours. We get 3 out of it. It is coming to the end of the day, and I do want to run the SDC over all of my mullock and in the hole to make sure we haven't missed any big chunkies. Look at how much and how coarse that black is for just scraping the top of the bedrock. We're not even down into the cracks and crevices yet that are going to hold most of the gold. That's what we got on that second run. Now that second run, I did maybe quarter of the work that I did for the first lot of gold. So you can see that down below in that clay, it is super, super rich. That's the first cleanup we did about an hour and a half ago, and that's the second cleanup we did over just about a 25 to 30 minute run. That is absolutely ridiculous, the difference in richness once you hit that clay. So it goes to show you hitting bedrock's important. Well, we're going to find out tomorrow how much is actually in that rock. So for now I'm going to run the SDC over my mullock pile, and if I find anything significant I'll show it, and otherwise I'll see you tomorrow. It is day 2 and I was meant to have help today. However, that fell through, so I'm out here on my own. Today's goal is to work the ancient deposit. Now when I say ancient, there's a few things this could be. There's a lot of ash in it, could be a bushfire layer. Again, I've talked about that many times before with the erosion that happens after bushfires. it could be something that the old timers produce, like coming at the end of their sluice run. All I know is that it's definitely been here for a long time. It smells horrible, and the black sands or the heavies that are in the pan are extremely coarse, as you saw from yesterday's video. And this is extremely unusual for this creek. Normally you'd be finding very, very fine blacks, very, very fine heavies, and this is something else. It's the size of marbles, and the gold is excellent. So we know this has been here for a while. It's been collecting gold for us for a long time. What we're going to do is jump straight into it with a pry bar, start wiggling away at some of that bedrock, crack it all open, break it up, and run it through the sluice. This is the stuff we're chasing. You can see a combination of ash and heavies in it, and it's riddled, absolutely riddled with it. In the light of day, in nice big pieces, I'm thinking this is the product of a big fire that's come through here and an erosion event straight after. I'm working away here and I've run maybe 20 shovels. I did a clean out in my first 10 shovels to make sure there was still gold in the hole, which there is, but it's a lot slower going. And now that we're dealing with very thick clay, you can expect two things: harder work. It's harder to get your shovel and it's harder to remove the dirt. You can't break it up because it just sticks back together if you pick at it. Basically, it's going to slow down your efficiency. The other thing is, expect your spec counts to plummet. I was at about 150 specs a pan of that microfine flour gold up the top, but when I'm down the bottom, I'm talking more about 10 bits, maybe 5 bits, but they're all very coarse. So my spec count plummeted, but the size went up, so it balances out somewhat. I just completed the full clean out of both mats and the miners moss from the sluice for a result that looks like this. This is the total that we've got for the hour and a half that we have been here. Now, that's not as much gold as we pulled out yesterday, but we haven't put as much time into it. And we also haven't worked as much dirt because, again, working clay and things like that slow down the process considerably. Whilst I'm on my lunch break, I wanted to say a massive thank you to all my new patrons who've jumped on board and those who continue to support the channel every single month. A big thank you to Martin Cross, Kelly Rydell, Greg Judson and Placer Chasers, Jason Lenk and Rodney Haley. The ongoing support from all of my patrons and everyone who's been buying merch has allowed me to get out here and make more of these videos for you, where I'm trying to get it to the stage I can make 2 every single week as opposed to the regular 1. It was starting to get really, really cold. The temperatures dropped way off from where it was this morning. It's only a couple of degrees out here, so something to keep the old hands going. There's been some serious hard yakka. I did a clean out of 10 shovels from the miner's moss just to make sure that we're still on gold. We've still got it. Again, the spec count has gone way down, but we're getting bigger pieces. I've been digging for about 3 hours now. I just haven't seen the results on the top mats that I was hoping for. What I've discovered is that there was a very rich stretch of ground that was only about 4 inches wide, and it ran for 3 or 4 meters. Now I can still access some of that layer, but it's on the other side of my hole, far away from my hive anchor setup. So I'm going to have to figure out how to empty out this hole of clay in the future, and then make sure that everything is processed there, because that clay is where those really big nuggets could be hiding. That's where you will find them. They'll be far below everything else. So I can't backfill it yet until I do that. Once I'm sure that there's nothing worthwhile left in there anymore, I will move the high bank across and keep chasing that pay streak, but I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve that today. This is the final cleanup from the last run. We did perhaps 40 shovels to get this, and you can see that we still touched on that layer because we've got the ridiculously large pieces of heavy material in there, but nowhere near as much as what we were getting yesterday. And that's the gold that we got hiding underneath that black sand. That's the total gold that we got for today's session in about 3 hours worth of processing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a picture and some video and some beautiful stuff of the total weight that we've got from this deposit so far in about 22 to 24 hours worth of processing. As you can see there, part-time hours, and we're making good money. We're about $1,000 or so from this deposit in only 24 hours, which is more than a week's wage for most people in a relatively short period of time. So this is how you know you can make bank on gold if you find the right deposits. Unfortunately, these things don't come along all that often. If you're interested in supporting Vo-Gus prospecting and getting something cool for yourself or a friend or family member, check out my merch shop. The link is below. We've got some sweet t-shirt designs, phone covers, stickers, the whole works, and we're going to be releasing new designs every month. Remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button, as well as the little bell on the bottom corner, so that you don't miss out on any of the future Vo-Gus prospecting adventures. Until next time, peace, and I'm out.